That woman officer, she should be the sergeant of that police department. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Matter of Opinion, the show where we debate and give our opinion based off of facts and the information provided. And I'm your boy, Walls P. Now, today's episode, I want to speak about Sergeant Christopher Pullease. I think I got his name right. If not, let me know in the comment section. Going forward, I'll just refer to him as Sergeant Christopher. So a viral video surfaced with Sergeant Christopher choking a female colleague, fellow police officer. Now, this all happened in Florida. I don't know what precinct they're in or what police station they're in, but this definitely happened in Florida. Now, one thing I want to note is that Sergeant Christopher had been on the force for 21 years. The female officer had been on the force for 2 years. And it's also reported that Sergeant Christopher had 2 previous allegations of excessive force, but was later cleared of those allegations. And the female officer, whose name is anonymous, was a cop for 2 years. Now, for those who are not up to speed on the situation, here's a little backstory for you. Here you have officers who are apprehending a perp who's giving them some type of restraints. They got the handcuffs on them, and this officer walking up is the sergeant. So now they put the man in the back of the vehicle, and while he's in the back of the vehicle already handcuffed, this officer goes in there, confront him with pepper spray in hand. Now, again, the audio is taken out of the video, but as you see, he's getting closer as he's saying whatever dialogue to this man. Now, as he's getting closer and closer, and I guess threatening him, the female officer pulls him away. And that's when he, as you see in the video, put his hands around her neck and then move it to his chest. Here's another view. So now you see the officers got the man under control. They're eventually going to put him in the back of the police vehicle. So now you see him handcuffed, getting in there, complying, getting in the back of the vehicle. So now here's the super cop right here. You see him confronting him, getting closer. And little by little, you're going to see the man getting closer and closer, threatening him with the pepper spray. I wish the audio was in here so we could hear what's being heard. So there's the female cop. She's looking at what's going on. So then she runs to intervene and pull him by the belt. So there he go. Boom, right there. Hands on the throat as he starts to yell and say whatever. Then he's going to go back to the vehicle, say what he has to say to the perp, and then again, say something else to the woman cop. Here's what a lot of people are not speaking about when you look at this video clip. None of the other cops stepped up to intervene. Only that one woman cop intervened to de-escalate the situation because she felt like he was using excessive force. And then when he turned around and used excessive force on the woman cop, guess what? None of the police officers stepped up and intervened also. So what it comes off is this is the whole get along gang. It's a fraternity that allows or elect to let this type of behavior goes on. So what? He's a sergeant, whatever the case may be. Wrong is wrong. And here's something that a lot of people don't know about. This took place in Florida. So back in April of last year, Florida passed a bill requiring officers to intervene if colleagues use excessive force. A law enforcement officer would be required to intervene if another officer uses excessive force, and all officers would have to receive more training to avoid excessive force under a bill unanimously passed by the Florida House. So I know a lot of people like to say, hey, when police stop somebody and it leads to a shooting or whatever, a lot of people be like, hey, why didn't they just let it go or turn a blind eye? Well, he was committing a crime, so it was the duty of that police officer to intervene. Well, in this case, this was the duty of all those police officers to intervene, not once, but twice, and none of them took no actions. So this is why a lot of people are screaming FTP, because it's a fraternity of police that do wrong and nobody say anything. That's no different than your common and regular thug on the street that's shooting up a place and kids are around or whatever the case may be, and nobody of his colleagues, we'll call them colleagues, none of these other thugs step in and say, yo, son, this isn't right. Save it for another day or whatever the case may be. I mean, trying to spray up somebody is not something you should say for another day regardless, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Nobody stepped in. And in this case, nobody stepped in to tell this cop not to do XYZ except the one female cop. And when she did, what was her reward? Choked her, screamed at her, yelled at her, not once, but came back again to reprimand her some more. If you ask me, The sergeant should be fired, and all of those officers should be fired. And that woman officer, she should be the sergeant of that police department. Why? Because she shows that she's upholding the law and doing what she needs to do. Now, here's the thing. This happened back in November and it's just now coming to light. If the cameras didn't record this or it was swept under the rug, what do you think that female officer would do going forward whenever she encounters something like this? She would have basically got on with the get along gang and just turned a blind eye. Why? Because she saw how she was reprimanded the first time. So think about it. How many officers might come into policing, see something wrong being done, try and intervene, and they get this type of reaction? So now going forward, they're like, yo, I'm not saying nothing because I remember what happened last time. That's why when it comes to police interactions and unarmed killings of blacks and people dying in the hands of police and everything like that, those numbers, yes, I take them for what they are, but they can be misconstrued. Why do I say this? Because what about the situations where it's swept under the rug? Now, it's hard to sweep people being shot or killed by police because the body count will pile up so quick that an investigation would be opened and stuff would come to light regardless. But when it comes to excessive force and things of that nature, me personally, I believe a lot of times it's being swept under the rug. Like I did a video on Officer Luis Santiago where in the wee hours of the night, he was driving on the highway, wind up striking and killing a pedestrian. What happened next was him and his buddy in his car, they put the body in the back seat of the car and drove it to his mom's house. If it wasn't for this guy's father being a lieutenant or a sergeant in the police department, he wind up calling the cops and telling them exactly what happened. If this didn't happen, who's to say they couldn't just dump the body wherever and make it seem like they had nothing to do with the body to begin with? What happens next? Unsolved mystery. Nobody knows what happened. So just a situation like that was this close, hairline thin away from being an unsolved murder if it wasn't for the actions of the father. But when you look at all these cops who are standing around not doing nothing, how many times does this go on where they turned a blind eye to another officer doing wrong? That's why I say numbers can be miscued. Try throwing numbers or statistics at an R victim. And when I say an R victim, the word rhymes with ape about, hey, this doesn't really happen. And 9 times out of 10, the victim is lying or whatever the case may be. Tell that to the victim who it did happen to, and they never got no closure or they never got their justice served. Tell that to them. Throw your numbers out at them and see what results you get. Just because the statistics say this doesn't explain the ones who are victims, the ones who did suffer but never got no justice for it. And when people witness other police officers standing around and not doing anything, especially against one of their own, that's when they start screaming FTP because they see it as you're no different than the people that look like me or the people on the block that's doing criminal activities. Because you guys can be doing wrong yourselves, and guess what? Nobody will say nothing, and it's easy to sweep it under the rug. And don't get it twisted. I'm pro police. You can look at a lot of videos on the channel. I'm definitely pro police. And if you ask me, the police is definitely the lesser of the two evils when it comes to police officers or the thugs that's on your block. It's no comparison. But I definitely understand why people scream FTP, especially in the black community, because there's a history of mistreatment when it comes to blacks in America with police and law enforcement. And sad to say, some of that still go on to this day. Not astronomical numbers as it did in the past, but yet it still goes on today. That's going to do it for this episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let me know. Do you think that the sergeant should be fired? Do you think that the other police officers should be fired for not stepping in? I would love to hear your comments in the comments section. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and share amongst your friends. This is Matter of Opinion. I'm Walls P, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. It's a matter of opinion.